Hey there, welcome to the Healthy Vibes podcast. I'm Kelly Renato, and I thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. I know how precious time is, and I pray that I encourage you or I empower you to have the courage to make a new choice this week or shift your perspective. Today, I want to actually talk about a personal story when I had shingles at one time in my life. Yes, I had shingles. It was wonderful. And I've had a few wake up calls, turning points in my health journey. I consider myself, I would say since college, I try pretty hard to take care of myself. I really do try to make good choices, but I also really enjoy life. I always talk about the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, I really try to do well, but yeah, 20% of the time, I enjoy life. And I think that's part of it for me. These days, information's overwhelming. It can make us always think we're doing something wrong, which I feel often. But I just want to tell you today my story. Back to my story. I've had a few situations. I talked a few episodes ago about postpartum. That was my first really big wake up call. And then I really changed my mind and how I talk to myself after I went through postpartum depression. And I also really changed some of my choices and how I showed up for this world. And shingles was my next big one. I've had more, but these were big ones that really were like, I was in a doctor's office and a doctor was telling me what they felt that I had. And it could have absolutely been worse. I know. I feel fortunate that that's what it was because I came out of it, I've learned from it, and I hope to not fall back into there or anywhere else in the future. But I know no matter what we do, there are things that are out of our control, which is a big part of what I learned from shingles. So, shingles, I don't know how much you know about it. At the time that I got it, I knew two people that had had it. And to me, it was my mom and my aunt. They were much older than me. And I just never was worried about shingles for myself. And at the time, I could still remember this time. It was during COVID. We were taking care of several parents of ours. My mom was in the hospital. She had fractured her ankle. My mother-in-law was on hospice. I had just put my dad's cat down, and he didn't know. We didn't tell him. He was very lonely, missing my mom. And life was still going on. I was, raising kids, homeschooling, marriage, just life, trying to take care of myself in the middle of all that. And I also was taking care of my aunt, and she had doctor's appointments and things she needed. And at the time, it was a lot. And even when I look back on it, it was a lot, not just physically a lot or responsibilities a lot, but it was a lot of emotions, a lot of heartfelt emotions, hurt, grieving for things that I hadn't lost yet, but I knew we were going to lose. Um, and it was just a hard, challenging time. And I remember sitting in my car a few days before um, the shingles symptoms started. And I remember just crying because I was overwhelmed with the responsibilities and feeling like I couldn't do all that I wanted to do. I couldn't be there all the places I wanted to be. I was overwhelmed with sadness. I was just sad. I was sad that so many people in my life were unhealthy. I was sad that I knew we were losing my mother-in-law and what she was going through. I was sad. Um, I felt helpless. I felt, like I said, I felt like it was COVID times of there was like, that small window that you could visit people in the hospital. And of course, there was the overwhelming fear of, we don't know if she has COVID yet or not, and she wasn't in there for that, but, you have to go through those tests, so they don't you have to everyone remembers, I don't have to describe how disconnected we were from each other during COVID, which was such a huge, harm to all of our health. I feel like being disconnected and fear of being around each other. So there was that, and, not being able to be there for my mom, my mother-in-law, my dad, and my aunt, like, all of those, like, you couldn't be in all the places. And then, of course, putting the cat down was the end of so much. My dad loved that cat, and he did not know because of all the other things, we didn't wanna hurt him. It was so hard. So anyways, I remember feeling super overwhelmed, super stressed, all of the feelings. And those emotional feelings, but all, like, just keeping inside of me because I just felt that I needed to do it all. I was fortunate enough to have those responsibilities and those people in my life that needed me, but at the same time, like, how do you vent about all that to me? I feel like you vent about it, and it's a mix. Sometimes if you have that person you can talk to, just to talk it through, but not feel that you're complaining, because I really feel always have felt blessed to be able to take care of all of the parents in our life. So it wasn't a complaint. I just felt overwhelmed and like I couldn't do it all. But fast forward a few days, and I still remember where I was. All of this was still going on. My mom was in the hospital. My dad was lonely. My mother in law was on hospice. And I remember I was taking my aunt to a doctor's appointment because she had a doctor's appointment. My daughter was with me because she was homeschooling and I didn't want to leave her home alone. So the three of us went, and my aunt had to be at the appointment for a while. So we dropped her and we went to Panera for my daughter to do school while we were waiting, have lunch. And I started having these bumps on my neck, and it was itching, it was uncomfortable, and I just kept talking about it, and my daughter finally looked at me and was like, "Let's just go to one of those walk-in clinics and see what happens." I thought I had been bit by something. That was just my thought. I've been bit. I've been bit. Spider, who knows? I don't know. So we went to the walk-in. They confirmed I'd been bit, and I believe they gave me a steroid and a cream maybe. I'm not sure. Anyways, fast forward a few days after that, and it was worse. It was not better. So I then went to my doctor, and I can still remember sitting in the office and my doctor saying, "You have shingles." And I was like, "Shingles? I can't have shingles." I was in disbelief for many reasons. I'm like, "I'm too young for shingles. I'm too healthy for shingles. I can't have shingles. Why would I have shingles?" And I just cried because I thought I must have shingles. And I knew a little bit about what they say brings it out, stress, something you're going through in life, the whole thing with chicken pox, all of those type things. And not to go into terrible details, but yes, it's as bad as they say. Ugh, it was awful, but it could have been worse. It definitely could have been something more irreversible, something hospitalization. It could have been so much worse. I mean, yes, we missed Thanksgiving. I slept in the guest room for a while because my husband had not had shingles. There were many things. It was uncomfortable. It was ugly. Like, it was just so much. But it healed. It went on. And just like with my postpartum experience, I learned from it. Like, I knew I had bottled up all those emotions, all that stress, all that overwhelm. I'd kept all of it inside of me, and I felt that I needed to do all the things, take care of everyone, and all of that came out as shingles. I really believe, as healthy as I am, I was not managing stress well. I wasn't. And we all do it. It's too easy. And even when I talk to people to this day about managing their stress, they're like, "Yeah, whatever. Stress is stress. I can't get away from it." And you're right. We're always going to have stress. And there is an amount of stress that's okay. It is that overwhelming amount of stress that we just keep inside of us day after day after day after day with no outlet, no taking care of ourselves, no like letting it go, the constant worry, the constant fear. That's the unhealthy stress. So when I turned that corner, I decided right then and there that I wasn't going to do that anymore. I was going to let things go. I was going to take care of myself, and I was going to have the faith. I was going to truly have faith. I said I'm a believer, but I wasn't like believing. I wasn't trusting in my faith or in God that it would be okay. I was taking it all on myself, the worry, the fear, the frustration, the overwhelm. I was taking it all on. And now I approach it all differently. And some people might think I'm irresponsible. Some people might think I don't care. Some people might think I'm, I don't even know, but I know that things I used to do, I used to, explain to people, do things, all the things. I used to do it all because I felt that I needed to. Um, I don't anymore. I don't. I say no to things that honestly, a lot of times I would want to do, but I can't because something else is a priority over it. And to me, saying no is not always about saying no to something you don't want to do or doesn't serve you. That's a big part of it. And there's many of us that just need to do the no for the things you don't want to do or not serving you or not good for you right now. But even harder is saying no to things that, yes, you want to do, but you just can't because of what's going on in your life. Every season is different in our life, what our priorities are, what we're handling, what we're helping. And I'm so when I went through like postpartum as a mom, I started this practice. I still do it today. And with shingles, I learned know your values and know your priorities and know what matters most right now, today, in this season of life, because it can change. And at that moment in life, once my shingles was over and all of that was past, we had lost my mother in law, we had lost the cat. And within a few months, I lost my dad. It was a lot. But as hard as it all was, I knew my new approach. I can't control everything. That's life, right? You can't control everything. And until you let go of that, you are holding on to stress and holding on to something that you can't do anything about. And truly, truly, truly practicing your faith and giving that trust to God, like giving it to God and knowing that we're not here forever. We all have a course of life and all we can do is the best we can do. Like truly wake up every day and live today and live the best day we can today. Meaning, what is our priority today? What matters most today? What is on my list today? And yeah, there's some things we can't do. Maybe a friend I want to have coffee with, I would love it, but right now I need to do this for my kid or my marriage or my health or my mom. But then if all of that's in line, that's when I will go have that coffee with my friend or lunch or maybe say yes to something else that you couldn't say yes to last month. You just really have to be okay with what matters most right now and you got to let go of the rest. No explanation needed. No giving energy to it all day long. I can't believe this. I can't believe that. This is what's going to happen. There came a point where I knew I couldn't hold on to worry anymore. I couldn't hold on to fear. And I had a hard time even being around people that were constantly holding on to it because you can't. You're making that choice. You say you're a believer. You say you trust God. You say you want to live that life that He has planned for you, but you walk around worrying, holding on to things, trying to control things, having fear for things when all of that affects your stress, your health, your relationships, every bit of it directly affects all the physiological things that affect your health in all of it. So I want you to think this week, what are you holding on to? What are you worried about? What are you trying to control? What are you fearful of? What are you constantly talking about all day that you think is going to turn out bad or is not going to work out or is not going to be okay or you're worried about or you have a fear? Whatever it is, I want you to pray to God about it, talk to Him, give it to Him, and let it go. And fill your time, your energy, all of it with something else more productive, more purposeful, even if it's a continual prayer. Continual prayer. Just think this week, how am I handling my stress? Because it's up to you. How are you handling stress and how are you approaching life? I did an episode a few podcast episodes ago about approaching life, which is so big. And I quoted Tony Robbins. I'm not going to say it perfectly, but he said most of us are not living our life. We're living the perception, what we're perceiving in life. And I'm not saying that right. But the point is, live what's right in front of you. what you can control, what matters most, and live that right there. And don't stress about all the other things. You have to learn to let them go. You have to learn to not worry all the time, have fear, give it to God every time. And it doesn't mean I don't do that anymore, but I can feel myself moving that way. And I stop. I take a breath. Maybe I need a good night's sleep. Maybe I need some time to myself. Maybe I need to get outside. Maybe I just need prayer and time with God. Maybe I need a really good workout. Whatever it is, I have to get back to like grounding myself so that I'm not constantly worrying, feeling stressed, having fear, because you give life to what you give your energy to. So if you're constantly giving your energy to negativity, worry, stress, fear, complaining, that's going to be what you're consuming. And the whole thing just gets bigger. So don't give life to it. Pray about it, let it go, and move on. You can only do what you can do. So I pray that this helps you just think a little bit differently this week. And I obviously hope that nobody gets shingles, but I learned from it. And I hope you learn from it too, because hanging on to things, whether it's shingles or something else, nothing good comes from it. It all ends up in disease, unhealthy things, hurts your relationships, your life, your health, all of it. So let it go. Do all that you can do. I'm not saying do nothing. Do all that you can do and let the rest go. So I hope you have the best week. Thanks for sharing your time with me. If you feel that someone could use this podcast, please share it. Please leave a review, subscribe, and follow me wherever it is you listen. And I hope to hear from you. And take care. Have a good week.